Hello friends and gamers, and welcome to the Fortress. My name is Jinx, and we're doing 12.4, the British Commonwealth and the French turn. So we've seen some drastic actions this turn. We've seen the Soviets spread their fleet out across the Atlantic, their submarine fleet. We've seen additional Lend-Lease going over to Italy. We've seen general peaceful nature in Germany, apart from one little strategic bombing raid into the British Midlands. And the Soviets took over Finland, and they're massing their forces against Iran. A lot of nonsense is going on. The CCP have made inroads against Burma, and the Japanese had captured British Malaya and the Philippines. Some drastic actions. And the ANZAC territory here in Australia has been captured. 2 territories have been captured by the Japanese as well. A lot of action has been going on this turn, and more of it's going to be in my strategic video that you will see. Now, the Soviets are making protestations and accusations about British brutality and, well, brutal dictation and trying to be imperial. But I think we just simply have to look at the facts of the matter, that the USSR is lend-leasing units to Italy. So far it's already lent-leased $21 to the Italians. Now, they have the right to do whatever they want to do, but in British eyes, Italy is in a bit of a Cold War standoff. I know Cold War is a later term, but Italy is a Cold War standoff with the Royal Navy as it currently stands. And so therefore, any lend-lease that goes towards the Italians is effectively, well, it's not good for the Allies. And so therefore, we see that USSR has done some pretty aggressive actions in that regards, and some unfriendly actions at the very least, and made some dramatic moves. And so therefore, that's why Allies suspended their income, suspended their money going over to the USSR. Now, we do allow the Soviets to go around, but we see it as threatening action to say the least. But we will allow them to go and move about without declarations of war against them. The Allies are promulgators of peace. Despite the USSR, their declarations, we see who the main aggressor is. USSR has taken over Norway, Finland, Mongolia. Those are the 3 territories I could think of that spring to mind at this stage. And they would have gone towards Iran if we hadn't leapt in on them. By their own admission, they would have gone into Iran if we hadn't taken out that territory first. And, well, the only reason we went into Iran is because the Germans took out Syria, and that caused Iraq to flip, and we knew the whole region was destabilized, and so therefore the French declared war against Iran. But France is no more, and so therefore, well, that is out of the picture at that point. They are not aggressors no longer. They are a subjugated nation, despite the Free French owning all Africa. France itself is subjugated and paid for their crimes by declaring war against Iran, and now they are subjugated by the Germans. Like we said, we do have peaceful intentions against the Soviets. We will let them roam around the Soviet seas, or the Atlantic Sea, but we just see that the main purpose of its submarine is to go convoy raiding, and we see that the only convoy raiding capability there are in the Atlantic is against Allied convoy lines. There's one German one over there in the Baltic Sea, worth $3, but we see kind of where the Russian forces are lying, and we will take them up for it, and we've actually set aside $3 here on the Canadian side of things in anticipation of renewing peaceful intentions with the Soviets if they so back off and do not send more Lend-Lease against the Italians. And in fact, even if they back off at this point, we consider the damage is done, unfortunately, and they've already lent these $21, and so we consider that quite an unfortunate turn of events where USSR has made poor allies or poor friends. And the Hilltop General, or the Secretary of the Committee, Hilltop Pillbox, has declared that the Allies have never asked for Lend-Lease, and those therefore, and the Italians did, and so therefore they sent Lend-Lease to the Italians. To that we say, if the Soviets feel so inclined to send Lend-Lease, then we will happily accept Lend-Lease as well as the Allies. And in return, well, we were willing to reopen negotiations and Lend-Lease them some money in exchange too. But we don't have high expectations. We know that the Soviets have other matters on their mind and other concerns, and so therefore we don't expect much Russian lend-lease coming our direction from them. We are carefully cautious around the Soviets. Currently, as the victory points stand, the Comintern have 14 victory points, the Axis have 13 victory points, and the Allies are down at 3 victory points. So we know how the situation lies. America is now in the war, and so therefore we do have a little bit more income to play around with, and things could turn in a nice direction now for us, but we are still quite cautious about what we can do and trying to hold on to our own. Each one of our allied territories can be engaged and is exposed by a wealth of enemy units, and so therefore we do not want to make another enemy in the Russian state. But we do not consider their actions friendly or beneficial to the Allied forces at this stage. That all being said, I suppose it's time to move on to our turn. So, a fairly peaceful turn this turn, and I surprisingly, very peaceful for the Allies. There are some maneuvers going on, but for the most part, our Germans across the water, we just stare at each other and take pot shots at each other. The Soviets stare at the Germans over here, and they're staring at us over here. And the only aggressive actions on the globe this turn thus far are over here in the Pacific. So let's move on to the economic table. Alright, so we do have a bunch of stuff going on this turn. So first of all, Panzer King has said he thinks that we lose 3 IPP. Now I don't know the difference between his colored dice. I don't know if black is supposed to represent the attacker and red the defender in his dice. It's hard to say. And so when he says he thinks I remove $3, I'm going to have to take his word for it, and so I'm removing $3 from the FEC. Okay, so we have 2 tech rolls during this turn. We have the British are working on radar, stage 2, and improved construction, also stage 2. So we're going to roll for that now. It's up here, the Canadian and the other factory, the Canadian and the British factories here. Successes on both. What do you know? Okay, so we have moved up to stage 3 for both of those. That's fantastic. It's good that our allied scientists are doing so well. Okay, so as some of you may know, I am the originator of the Canada at War expansion, and I admit that needs some work. So much so that after this game is done, I intend to email HBG, Doug, and ask if I could have a crack at it and updating the rules. There's several things that are of issue, one of them being in the description of the Canada Aerodrome of Democracy. It was intended to be that all the Commonwealth nations and Free France can benefit from this Aerodrome of Democracy. Unfortunately, I didn't word it properly because it says eligibility, major powers except USA, KMT aligned with Commonwealth. Britain is eligible. Now, I should have been more clear in that. It's supposed to say Britain, Free France, or France. Basically, any nation aligned with the Commonwealth. That's what it was supposed to say. Any nation aligned with the Commonwealth. Not any major nation, but any nation aligned with the Commonwealth, barring USA and KMT. That was the intent behind it, because currently, as it reads, I only get to benefit as the UK from that, which is still a nice benefit. You know, you pay $5 and then you get a reduced aircraft by 2 each turn. So it needs to make some adjustments. Now the downside of that is Canada is far away from any front. You know, if I built a fighter there as the ANZAC, well, it's so far away from ANZAC territory. Likewise with the FEC, likewise with the British and the Free French. It's far away from anything, so that kind of counters that. So I'm going to play with as it is written. The only nation that can take advantage of this is Britain. There's a few other issues in the rules I need to touch on and clear up a little bit. I did not play test this sufficiently, and it also needs to be upgraded to version 3, as stated before, with the Veteran Guard. Veteran Guards are essentially militia. In version 2 of the rules, only Russian militia can move around. Version 3, all militia can move around, so I need to change that. I believe I've said that multiple times though, so let's move right into things. So, I have here $33 of income. We're purchasing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 militia, 1 fighter for $8, which you're going to place in Canada, an anti-aircraft, upgrading a militia, getting a Colonial Infantry, and getting a regular infantry. The FEC is getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 militia and a fighter, and finishing their airbase. ANZAC is spending $10 on getting a fighter in Australian territory. And Canada, well, it's saving $3 in anticipation of any Russian rapprochement, I believe that's the term, getting a free French, what's it called, airborne unit, and also lend-leasing to the Americans 1 Marine. Now, I may do the Marine thing badly, so correct me if I'm wrong in that. Let me know what you guys think. That is something worth, I'll explain as I go through it. Let me know what you guys think at the end of the video. All right, so we are going to dive right into the table, and I have done my rolls here, and so we're going to go straight to our combat moves. Now, I'm going to do the Atlantic side and then the Pacific side because, it's so far to walk back and forth between the two, so therefore it's just much, much, much easier if I just stick with this side. Okay, so only one combat move occurring on this side of the globe, and that is by the strategic bomber. The other side, the combat moves on the other side is simply going to be just convoy raiding, so it's nothing dramatic. But on this side, it is just simply convoy, strategic bombing. So this strategic bomber is going to go 1, 2, 3 and bomb that Kriegsmarine fleet over there. Now there is no there's no German fighters that can scramble to that position, to the Kriegsmarine in C-Zone, what is it? It's got to be, I don't know, 15, C-Zone 15. You know what, I'm in a decent enough position that I can jump across here and set this stuff up, and that way we're perfectly legal. So this coastal submarine in C-Zone 55 is going to C-Zone 54 and going to raid that C-Zone. In C-Zone 123, which is down here, I'm going to be moving the British submarine. And it's going to also go to C-Zone, it's going to go to C-Zone 54 as well up here. And then this ANZAC submarine is going to go 1, 2, 3 to the C-Zone. Now, we're going around this way instead of through this way, right? So that way they can't, because then we'd be stopped by those aircraft. So we're doing, 3 raids on this side. And so while we're here, I'll roll for them. The Japanese do not have anti-submarine raiding. So we'll first do this one in C-Zone 54. That is our plan. So in C-Zone 54, I'm going to roll this twice. So red is going to be attacker and white defender. White, white flag. We want them to surrender. That's going to be the defender. Okay, so the coastal submarine. So we get $1 taken off of them from the coastal submarine because we get a +1 for the coastal and +2 for the regular. There you go. Badly done. So they only lost 1 on that side of things. Now the ANZAC one in C-Zone 55. So that's for a maximum of 5 as well. So they lost 2 there. So they lost a total of 3. Very minimal, actually, surprisingly. Very minimal losses. But at least we took off the same amount as what they threw off of me. So I'm going to, what should I do? I should simply go 2 and let's go 1 here. It's kind of a visual reminder by putting those dice up there. Just to remind him later on. Okay, boom, boom. There we go. I'll take care of that a little bit later. Now, that was it for convoy raiding, and up here we have that battle. So it's going to be a carpet bombing attack from a strategic bomber. That means it's 5 dice that would hit at a 2. Oopsie daisy. So I expect 1.5 hits. We got 3 hits. That was something. 3 hits. So I will leave it up to Panzer King as to what he wants to remove. I'm assuming it's going to be the torpedo boat destroyer and damaging the battleship, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong on that one. And that was a quite successful attack. 3 hits was Unprecedented. Okay, so that heavy bomber went 1, 2, 3 to that position, and it could return. It will return to the British Midlands, is where it will return. So I'm going to reach across and take care of that right now. Boom. All right. Okay, let's start some movements, and we will start off because we expect the Germans aren't going to take that sitting down. They're probably going to make some actions against us. So we're going to start by moving some units here. So the airborne moves from London. It moves up to the British Midlands, and we're also going to move the Canadians up there as well. So that leaves left in this position, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 militia and 2 infantry. And you know what? We're going to bring across this anti-aircraft to that position as well. I think that would make sense. Yeah, we'll do that. And perhaps 1 additional militia. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Now, I might be placing a militia in London anyways, so I'll have to see how that pans out at the end of it. So right now we have 3 militia, 2 infantry there. Northern England, I think we will just move, well, maybe we'll just move that 1 militia from there to there and leave it at that. Okay, so that's the way things currently sit over here. Rightio. Now we will look to the fleets here. Now the fleets will have some more movement. So this fighter is going to go up to the British Midlands, right there. This Canadian Canadian corvette is going to go to that position there, which I will tell you where it is. Let me just grab an escort duty marker. We have a couple just in case I need it. So that's going to come to sea zone 32 and go on escort duty there. Now I have this fleet here in sea zone 23 is going to come down off the coast of Portugal. So 23 to 48. That's a torpedo boat destroyer, a destroyer, a light carrier, and a fighter. And this aircraft that was on there goes 1, 2, 3, 4 and lands in Gibraltar. So leaving that empty. But it won't be empty for long because from up in this position I have 1, 2, 3, 4. This Canadian fighter, well, I guess it's British. British fighter simply lands here. But it did come from Canada. It's the first unit from that Aerodrome of Democracy thing that we've got going on. Now, what else? Well, we're going to move this unit over here. And going to move this carrier, heavy cruiser back there. So the torpedo boat destroyer came to sea zone 22. And the heavy cruiser came back to sea zone 24. That's what's going on there. So I know it's a little bit complex back and forth, but you'll see some logic in it later on, I suppose. Over here, this strategic bomber is going to move its way up to the British Midlands as well. So it's got the range, it simply lands there. 6, 7, yeah, I could have used it to attack, but if I did, then I would have had to face this fighter reciprocating as it scrambles. So that was in response to attacking the militia. Panzer King. I didn't expect it to be that successful, so we could call a truce now if you like. All right, that is it on that side. So these 3 fighters, one of them just arrived there, but these 3 fighters are on their way out once again. So that is 2 militia, 1 fighter, 1 artillery in that position. So these 3 fighters are going to go a long trek. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and land up north here in Azerbaijan. All right. While we're looking here, we're going to move up some units here. So this airborne goes to Azerbaijan. These 2 infantry, Azerbaijan. We're going to move, let's see. Down here, we're going to rail this gentleman to this position up into the eastern Egypt. And from here, we're going to move... No, we're not going to rail that guy. We're going to rail this guy from southern Africa to here, to the Belgian Congo. And we're going to move this guy 1 space here to Nubia. So that's what that went on. In here, we have this fellow move up from Transjordan to... he goes to eastern Egypt. That's where he goes. And yes, I believe that's it on this end. Sorry for the moment. Well, no, there's one more move. So I have promised my German counterpart. Well, it wasn't so much as a promise, just as a heads up. Let's say a a communique between the German forces and the British forces and the German forces, an understanding, as it were, that we would evacuate Thessaly. Now, it's unfortunate, but the Allies face too many enemies in too many places. They face a threat from the Russians, a potential threat from the Russians. They certainly haven't made themselves very friendly to the Allies thus far, and they could still turn around and de-escalate the situation. But we, at this point, we can't afford to fight so many enemies at once. So General Auchinlecht has decided that he's going to remove his forces from this position and going to back off to a different position. So first of all, we have over there we have this right here. That's what's sitting in Auchinlecht's position in Thessaly. This tactical bomber goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has the range because we have long-range aircraft. This aircraft right here, so as a transport, it picks up 1 mountain infantry and drops it off in Azerbaijan as well. Let me quickly pause this and replace that chit. Okay, so we have 1 mountain instead of what we had was 2 before. So that goes there. What else can we move? So we are picking up with our Royal Navy. We have 4 transports there. So the 4 transports are going to pick up 8 units. So we're going to pick up the mountain. We're going to pick up, we're going to pick up 8 units. So that's going to be, let's see, mountain. So 1, here we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to pick up all these units here. You know what? They can stay there because that's they're going to be the majority ones moving. So they'll stay on this task force marker. So what remains in that position will unfortunately need to be sacrificed. So Auchinlecht, I'm going to temporarily move him here in the ocean. And what remains here will be this French medium bomber, this militia, this airborne, and this Canadian unit right there. So that leaves, let me double check, it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 units. The Royal Navy has set sail, or is setting sail. It is going to this position here in Sea Zone 83. Now, that's why I wanted to get rid of that submarine. So this fleet here is now sitting, well, let me just do this. That fleet is sitting right there. This land force settles itself down in British Somaliland. From this position here, so I'm going to move this medium bomber onto that tile. So from this position, we can have a few targets. We can move this direction to the Pacific and threaten from all the way from this position, in British Malaya, we can threaten Sumatra, we can threaten British Malaya, Siam, Burma, and also reinforce all of India. At the same time, we can drop off troops next turn in southern Iran or Iraq, if we so choose to do so. And if the Russians maintain their build-up on our common border there in Trans-Caucasus. So we need to project sufficient threat to hold them off. That is our intention behind there, and that is our concern. Now, we don't have any units here with intent to be aggressive. Well, a chunk of these land forces are all militia. There's no way we're going to be marching into that mountain territory. So it's a purely defensive army, and it's the Russians that would have to de-escalate the situation at this point. So that's what's going on there. Now, what about the remaining troops in Thessaly? Well, they're not going to sit in Thessaly. The Canadians and this airborne are going to move south to the Peloponnese in hopes that they can hold out there, they might not survive, but they're going to hang on to that territory in hopes that the Germans let them live. And if not, well, the Canadians will sacrifice themselves. That seems to be their historical, operation, in Dieppe and that kind of thing. In Singapore, they seem to be sacrificed quite often. So, and the benefit of the Canadian units are that you can rebuild them at friendly factories using the Canadian money. So that's a nice little benefit. Well, for the specialized infantry, or militia rather, because they only cost 2, but I think they attack at 2 and defend at 2, I think 2, something like that. Or maybe it's attack at 1, defend at 2. So yes, that's where they go to. So sorry about the rambling. I am at the same time trying to figure out what my next moves are. Okay, so here we have another situation against the CCP. Now the CCP are being a major pain They had marched into Burma with the claim of, well, the claim was that they're going to win back the money that the British had promised them. And so they're going to collect money from Burma until it's repaid. Well, of course, they're probably not going to surrender it. And they may even push into Bengal. But we will come down at them with a hammer of bricks if they do so. We have forces now in range to hit their areas, and we are not afraid to use it. But we are giving them the chance. We're giving them the chance to back off. We don't expect they'll back off. We're not expecting it highly. They can hold on to Burma for now, but we will not take it kindly whatsoever if they move into Bengal. They can regain their money just from holding on to Burma, as far as I'm concerned. And if they do some actions against the Japanese, then we would probably, if they do major actions against the Japanese, then we would probably be very willing to lend lease money to them as well. But so far, they had the opportunity last turn to take out Cochin China when it just had one militia. Instead, they decided to go into FEC territory here. So that is not good news for the CCP if they continue this aggressive tendencies that they have. Now, we don't mean to threaten them. Well, we do mean to threaten them. But we don't mean to get their pride all wound up and say, they threatened us. No, this is by their own words. They're going to go into Burma and win back the money that we supposedly, quote unquote, cheated them out of, even though they've been lend-leasing to Axis powers. So they can go into Burma, but I would not advise them for going beyond Burma. Okay, so that takes care of my threatening nature. Alright, so we have a few other things going on. So a major one, I guess, is, or not major one, but another one to think about would be what we have going on here. So we have the threat of these forces here on our side of the globe. So we're going to move one militia there. Oops. You know what? Let's move 2 militia there. And let's move 2 militia into New South Wales. That's what we'll do. 2 militia into New South Wales. So I need to break this chip apart. So let me pause it. Okay, so I have, the yellow represents 3, so I have 3 here left. So I'm going to take one off the board, and I have 2 left in hand. So I'm going to place those 2. Well, I'm going to place the 1 here. I should have grabbed another militia that was there, because that's going to go on top of that there. We'll just reach over here. And there we go. Alright, so that's what's going on that side of things. And what else? I think that's about it. Yeah, that's about it on our end. Maybe I'm going to send 1 infantry up here as well. Sorry, I just realized that I can't just move both those units up there. So what I meant to do is rail this militia up to that position. In fact, I'll rather rail this infantry to this position, and the other 2 militia will simply come up here to New South Wales. So yeah, I think that's what's going on. So I'm going to grab a unit here because I took off the infantry. Sorry for the little bit of long-winded kind of stuff going on, but yeah, I'm glad I caught that. I don't like making mistakes. So there we have it. So this strategic transport, naval transport. The naval transport goes strategic naval move, and it can go as far as Sea Zone 83. If you count out the territories, well, it can make it. So this naval transport goes all the way to join, well, Andrew Cunningham's fleet here in Sea Zone 83. That takes care of all that. Now we're down to place unit phase, and then we have a roll for bonus income, I believe. Yes, we roll for bonus income. So we're going to start with this. The ANZAC build themselves a fighter. So, lend-lease. So I'm lend-leasing something to the Americans. Now, I need to double check on how this works. I think this does work, though. So I am choosing to lend-lease by sea. You know, that sounds a bit weird because Canada is right adjacent to America. But I'm choosing to lend-lease a unit by sea. I am choosing which is my originating port and choosing where is my destination port. So I trace from my factory, I trace along a railway, and I go to here. From there, I embark the Marines. They come here, and they're going to arrive, say, in San Francisco. That is my destination port. So I hope that is perfectly legal. I think it is, but if I'm wrong, correct me, please. Yeah, correct me, and I'll do something else with that income. Right on. Okay, so here we are. to the Free French side of things. Now these things are a little bit bumped around because that's where I place my stand. This is in Dahomey. Okay, so the Free French receive their airborne right there. And I can get there without any issue from that factory and that port. So the airborne arrives right there. Next up we have the FVC placement. So I'm a little bit running back and forth. And so I have a good few, well, militia to spend and also one fighter. So the militia, I have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 militia. So the fighter, of course, arrives right there. Now I have 4 militia to spend. So I place 2 militia are going into Hong Kong. So the Hong Kong tile, well, it's a little bit off camera, but it's right there. Hong Kong tile, I place 2 militia there. So I'm going to simply add that to that. Then I have 3 militia left. Well, I may put one up in Bengal. Because if they go into there, well, you know, then they're being the hostile ones, right? At least it's not the walk-on, and of course it might just get easily wiped out. And I'm going to be placing the 2 remaining militia there. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. Actually, you know, I might make... Yeah, I'm going to keep it here in Bengal. It may just be chucking it away, but at the end of the day, yeah, at the end of the day, we will see who the aggressor is on that side of things. And the CCP do have to begin becoming concerned of the Japanese forces there as well. Okay, so that takes care of that. Oh, and also their air base here is completed. So I forgot to do that. Done. Righty-ho. We move on to this side of the globe. Yeah, this side of the globe. So we have the British. Now the British will start off here in Azerbaijan. In this neck of the woods. And so we have one factory there. So we are going to be placing a anti-aircraft there. Let me just bring all the stuff up. Right. Yes, this is the way it is. I don't want to mess up my chits. I have them all kind of organized, and if I move it around too much, it'll all fall apart. So anti-aircraft is going to be built there. Now I also have a chance to build up, you know, like, what's it called? Convert one of my militia into a regular unit. So I'm going to do that here. One of these militia is going to be converted into a regular unit. All right. After that, we have a colonial unit we can place. And so that colonial unit, it cost us 4. We're placing it here in Azerbaijan. Now we are left with, well, we got a fighter, an infantry, and a stack of militia. So we have 6 militia spent, so we're going to place 1 here, bringing our militia amount to 3 in that area. We're going to place 1 militia, 2, 3, 1 militia here in southern Iran, just for a little extra protection. Actually, forget about that for now. Now we're going to be placing 1 militia in Transjordan. That's where that'll go, Transjordan. And we have 4 militia left in hand. Now the 4 militia, a little bit will go here and there and everywhere. 1 will go in Gibraltar. Yeah, 1 will go in Gibraltar here, bringing us up to 3 militia, 1 artillery, 1 fighter. And then we have 3 more to spend. So I want to fortify the British Islands a little bit, even though that might be pointless at the end of the day. 3, 4, 5. I'm going to be building 1 militia here in the British Midlands. Oof. I'm going to be building 1 militia here in, let's say, well, you know what? Let's do here in Northern England. No, I don't think I will just yet. So I have 2 militia left to spend. Okay, so the other one I guess I will actually place here in the British Midlands, just for a little bit extra support in that area, just in case the Germans try to attack me again, one way or another. It's nice to be prepared. Now I have 1 more militia to spend, and I'm going to be placing that in, I believe it's called Tehran. So let me grab a token here. So in Tehran, of course, that is in northern Iran, right over here. Northern Iran, just in case the Soviets decide to, well, you know, if they go into Northern Ireland, it's not worth anything, but it's nice just to be a little bit extra secure. So that's what's going on there. Okay, and that gets all our units placed on the board. So we are now left with rolling for, well, what's it called? Rolling for our wartime economy. Now I can choose which nation this goes to, and I suppose that decision has to be fairly immediate. So I'm going to roll 2 dice. And, excellent. So $9. $9, I believe that's going to go to, let's say the FEC again. I feel like we need a little bit extra emphasis on here. So $9 go to the FEC. That's not too bad in my books. $9, and last turn I had $10. So that makes me happy. Now we are moving straight into the French turn. Oh, right, one last thing. So I had an infantry left to place on the board. And so the infantry is going to be placed, infantry is going to be placed here. Yeah, it's going to be placed here in London. And I'm going to be placing the fighter here in British Maritimes. So I wanted to, while we're looking here, I wanted to take a look at why I placed in the Canadian Maritimes. So, oops. Look at this border here, this sea zone. Is 30 adjacent to Canadian Maritimes? If you look right at it, I mean, let's see if I could zoom you guys in. Look at it. You see there's a little touch of water right there. So let me know what you guys think, because that does have some impact on the battle. Because from there, I could theoretically, I could next turn go on Maritime Air Patrol here or in Sea Zone 30 as well. So let me know what you guys think on that one. Okay, so that takes care of all that. Now the French turn. So the French have got a few things going for them and a few units spread all over the place. So first of all, they have a submarine up north here. Now this submarine is going to come down to this sea zone here. So it can use the bonus from that base in Cornwall. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where that's going. And now I have over here, I have these 2 ships. Now these 2 ships are going to pick up these 2 infantry, the transporters rather. It's going to go 1, 2 and drop off here. Now there's no combat, I should have stated that before. This cavalry is going 1, 2 to Chad. To Chad, that's where that goes. And then I have some movements going on up here. So here I'm going to be moving that unit there and the cavalry right there as well. So that's going on there. Now over here, this infantry is going to Iraq right there. So I should have stated what they buy. Well, they are buying 2 infantry. They have $7 to spend. And so with 2 infantry, I had it all parked up on here. I have a little, well, my wife would probably call it a shrine, but there we go. That's what I have here is $7 here to spend. So I'm getting 2 infantry. Now those infantry are going to be placed in Syria. It could be placed in any land zone that I started the turn with. So they go in Syria. Now I have one other unit on the board. Well, a few more units on the board. Okay, I do have 1 combat, so I hope you guys are forgiving in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That goes into Azerbaijan as well. I'll let you guys know before the end of the turn what's in that area. So the 1 combat I have is this one here. Those French submarines. Now, I know it's a little late for this, but I kind of forgot. It's already been quite a long video. I kind of forgot. So I know I've allowed Germany to do that before with their kind of forgotten submarine on it was on the south coast of Africa. So I hope they allow me to do this here as well. I just forgot. Okay, so these submarines are coming north, and they're going to do some convoy raiding. Now, I could of course decide where they go depending on what results are here. So I'm going to send 1 in this position, and 1 in this position here, I believe. Yeah, 1 in either of those positions. So I need to roll these dice. So there's 3 so far, 1 taken from here and 2 taken from here. So those dice are going to be rolled here. So starting on Sea Zone 54, the one that's already taken 1 off, white is defense, red is attack. Now, the other one, Sea Zone 55, my goodness, very minimal hits this turn. Okay, so as you've seen, that was still 1 from this area up here. That's the one that missed, so I only got 1 from the British forces. And over here, the ANZAC sub hit for 2, and then the French ship hits for 3. So the Japanese lost a total of 4 bucks that turn from both of those areas. Not that bad if you think about it, in my opinion. It's not that shabby in the end of the day. So that takes care of that, people. Now, I've placed the units on the board already. I've moved these guys already. And it just remains for their income. So their income is at 6 bucks. So we collect their income at 6. Now, that brings them up to 7 bucks left over. Same as what they had last turn. Now, we have a bunch of income gathered in for the British, and I guess I should do that on camera. So let me quickly calculate that. Okay, so Britain gets a total of, this is 33 again. FEC has 14. They had 16 before, so they're at 14. But we get the 9 bucks of wartime income goes to them. ANZAC, you know what? I'm going to give them a chunk of the wartime income to the ANZAC. I didn't realize I had as little as I did. So I'm giving 5 bucks. I'm giving 5 bucks to FEC, and I'm giving 4 bucks to ANZAC. And I'm giving, what would this be? Well, and Canada collects 10 bucks, including their bonus. Add to that the 3 that they got from the previous round, so they have 13 bucks. And some of that money could be going Soviet. Well, probably, depending on what they do. You know, they haven't been the nicest to me lately. Alright, so that takes care of that. And so there's 7 bucks gathered in, or 6 bucks gathered in by the French. That is it, people. Thank you all for watching. The next one up is the Italian turn. So we shall see if they take advantage of the empty Mediterranean. Will they go and hit Gibraltar? Well, it's a possibility. You know, there's 3 militia here, 1 artillery, 1 fighter. It's not, you know, it's not unknown that they might do that. There's a chance that they will do that. You know, they would be able to hit it with 4 aircraft and 2 land units. But we have a fortified line. We have coastal artillery. We have a regular artillery here. So that's a total of, you know, 3 first strikes. 3 first strikes coming from here, plus the first strikes from this stuff as well, right? Like it's a decent force here defending that area, so they may not. It's going into mountains as well, so they'd be rolling 1s. It'd be the aircraft that are doing the majority of their hit, and so therefore it'd be a tough one for them to win, but it is a possibility. Will they go towards this direction? Will they go towards Transjordan? Well, that's possible. I could see them going towards Transjordan, but will they risk going against this fleet? Because that fleet could still hit them in the Med. It can still hit them here on this side as well. And if they go to the Med, then I'm also in range to hit them with all those aircraft. All those aircraft can hit. Even the ones in England can technically hit. They can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they go there with their fleet, sorry, the 5 for the fighters and 6 they can land there. Or 6 they can land here. They can land anywhere they like. And if the Italian fleet deems to sail forth into the Med, into this position or this position, we can hit them either way they want to. And we can hit them also with some of these ships as well too, specifically these 2. And 1, 2, 3. Well, basically all my ships here, even these ones here off the coast of Cornwall, can go here as well. So that's a danger zone for them, so they're not going for Gibraltar. Are they going for here? Well, that's slightly more likely. Their aircraft wouldn't have a place to land, so therefore they would be in a bit of a pickle there, but perhaps. So, is Italy still checkmated? Maybe, and maybe not. Who knows? They may have gotten some more ambition into things. I forgot one last thing as the Free French. This is the unit that they can still move. These ones haven't gone yet, so these units are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where they go. They land in southern Algeria. A little bit off camera, but right there in southern Algeria. So things are looking interesting. Sorry about all the mix-ups, guys. I usually have a script. Like, I've filled this book up with all kinds of scripts of what to do. But this game, you know, I actually did 2 videos back to back, so I was a little bit fatigued by the end of it. Right on, guys. Thanks all for watching, and check out Panzer King's channel next. Cheers. I forgot to say what I have here in this position. Here I have 4 infantry, 3 militia, 1 airborne, 1 mountain infantry, 1 air transport, 3 fighters, 1 tactical, 1 medium bomber. That's what I got over there. So that's it. Cheers.